that. So at number 40, we have Wild Hearts, which is really clever sort of rhythm music game that my friend bought for me, which is very kind of him. And it took me a while to play it, but when I did, it was pretty cool. And I see why he bought it for me, because it's really quite different. So that's Wild Hearts at number 40. So at number 39, we have Rogue Aces. Really enjoyed this one. Haven't played it much for a while, but what I did play, I really enjoyed. It's very cheap. One of these, fly-in World War II, World War I type shooting games with a quirky art style. It's pretty cool. I want to be playing that more in the future, I think. So, what are we up to now? Let me just count the screen. 8. So is it 38 now? Sinmora X. This is pretty cool. Another sort of flight sim, scrolling. Let's get vertical and horizontal mixed up. Vertical, horizontal, horizon. It's a horizontal shoot 'em up. Really nice graphics. Something to do with a guy who made the No More Hero games, I think, and some other people made this. Pretty cool. You don't have lives, you just have time. Every time you get hit, you lose a bit of time. It's quite clever. Good boss fights. Reminds me of Earth Atlantis a little bit, but better and in the air. So yeah, that's my review of that. So we're on 37 now, I think. Star Wars Pinball. You get lots of different Star Wars boards on this. It's good to have a bit of pinball on the old Switch. Isn't much else to say about this. It's Star Wars and it's pinball. So there you go. Number 36, we have The Hong Kong Massacre, which Keanu Reeves said that the film with a 4 in it, what's it called? Where they kill the dog. Bill Wick? I was going to say Bill Wick then. John Wick 4. He said this game inspired a scene in the movie, even though basically this game was inspired by Hotline Miami, which you'll see later on. But apparently, yeah, the inspiration came from this. I can see why, because this is more realistic, photorealistic. The Hotline Miami is more cartoonish. Anyway, moving on. So what are we on now? 35, are we? Double Dragon Gaiden, Rise of the Dragons. Now, some people might say that they don't like this game because it's not a true Double Dragon game, whatever the fuck that means, because at this point, there's so many shit Double Dragon games. What even is a Double Dragon game? This is like a reboot that honours the original, but you've also got one character where you can shoot people. So that's not very Double Dragon, is it? But that's just 1 out of 4 characters. I think that's the old girlfriend. Is it Marion from the old series? I can't remember. Just think of this as an alternative version of this, sort of riding on the back of Streets of Rage 4 and Turtles, whatever the hell that game's called. My memory is going. I'm like an Alzheimer's patient, I swear down. But this is more like the Turtles one than it is the Streets of Rage 4 one. But it's still pretty good fun. So coming in at number 34, we have Broforce. Broforce is like a copyright wet dream. I don't know how they got away with this. They basically nick all the action heroes from the 80s and 90s and put them in a game. How they got away with this, I don't know. Were they sued? Did they pay royalties? I don't know, but it's blatantly obvious who all these characters are. You know, you have like Rambo and the Terminator and Chuck Norris and people like that. It's just insane. Even Robocop's in it. I can't even remember now. It's just an insane roster of like people from your youth. Anyway, so now we have Bridge Strike. Bridge Strike is a sort of don't know whether it's a remake of an Atari game, but it's kind of, or a sequel, but it's kind of like that. It's a very simple game, just shoot like bridges and ships and get quarters and stuff like that. It's sort of game where they'd have an advert in the 90s of someone sat on a bus playing it like before they went to work. No one ever does that, by the way. But if they were gonna, then this would be a good game to play, because you can play it in like 30-second bursts and all that. So what are we up to now? Forgive me if I get the numbers wrong. Is it 33 or 32? Fuck knows. Decks. Anyway, decks. So yeah, this is how do I describe this? Cyberpunk RPG, action adventure. It's got everything. It's uber complicated, like The Matrix meets, what was that film that Keanu Reeves had before The Matrix that completely flopped, where he's like controlling things with his mind and shit. So it's a bit like that. That's where it lost me, the game, controlling stuff with my mind, because I was like, okay, so I'm walking along, but I'm also controlling the elements of the world whilst also jumping and trying to hit this guy in the face. I'm not that good at multitasking. But this is another game that's quite cheap. It's from the same people who brought you One Strike, I think. They do a lot of these cheap games, and they are just they're good if you're on a budget like I was. It's a great little interesting game, under £1 sometimes even. So next we have Wii Sports. I don't know what number we're up to here. Well, I'm just going to count it. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I don't know. The 20th bottom one. What is that? 31? Something like that. Anyway, Nintendo Switch Sports. Not really as good as what it was inspired by, Wii Sports, and it's more or less unchanged from that, but who doesn't like a bit of sporting action? I did an experiment on it, see if I could lose weight over a 30-day period. Shock horror, I didn't. Even though I played it every day. It's not the level of exercise that's really going to make a difference, to be honest. Anyway,